change is something we're always trying to do, right? There's always something you want to change in your life, partly because we want to grow and we want to elevate, or because we get stuck. So today I'm really more thinking about the stuckness and what we do with the stuckness as to why we can't make changes. And the reason this message has sort of come to me today is because I'm actually fasting. So I am in the middle of a 5-day fast and I struggle with fast. Fasting is not for me. Every time I fast, it just goes left and I'll be honest, I give up. I give into my flesh and I'm like, I can't do this. It's too hard, and it becomes all about me. And I'm only realizing now during this fast what the issue was. I was making it about me and I didn't realize that. But in this process, I have learned so much about the change and why I've been able to make this change this time and actually do this successfully compared to all the many years I've tried to do it before. So that's kind of where this conversation is coming from, and I want to share those gems with you today. Sometimes we don't really have a reason not to change the things we want to change, especially if we know they're good for us. So what actually stops you from making the changes? The thing that made me stop every single time was it was uncomfortable. In terms of what it feels like that discomfort, that hunger, that pain, the headaches, the migraines, the fatigue, it's not easy. So I was really uncomfortable. And I'm glad you guys are resonating with the same thing, routine and comfort, because that is what stops us from making the change. Yes, you will feel uncomfortable. When you're making a change, you will feel uncomfortable. You're going to feel uncomfortable. It's necessary. But what do you do in the discomfort? Because that's what's going to be the difference between whether or not you actually make the change successfully or whether you don't. Okay? What do you do in the discomfort? For those of you that don't know, I am an anxiety therapist and a counselor. So I work with a lot of different issues. And the issues that I find, or the difficulties that I find with people, is that when they are doubtful, when they're fearful, when they're worried about things, they find it very difficult to stay in that discomfort. Because their body is reacting, they're getting all kinds of signals telling them that, they need to do something, they can't sit here, they can't stay here. At the extreme level, it feels dangerous. At the other end, it's like, it's just not necessary. I can choose, I don't want to do this anymore. And that is so crucial, because if you feel your body doing all of these things, we need to pay attention to that. That is a sign. That is a signal of some sort. So if we're interpreting it that we need to stop, that we need to run away, that we can't do this, it's going to mean we don't get the change we want. You have to have the tools to be able to put your mind in a positive frame. You have to have the right tools, not any tools. You have to have the right tools. And you also have to remember what is motivating you in the first place. Remember your why. Why am I trying to make this change? What is the purpose here? Because what I found was when I was fasting, I found the minute it got harder, it all became about me. I was focused on my hunger. I was focused on my pain. I was focused on the headache and this and this and this and this. And I completely lost sight of why I was doing it. So when you are reaching that point of discomfort, when it gets 10 times worse, you need to lean into that and recognize, okay, what is the purpose of this? Why am I doing that? That's the time for you to reach in and remember your why, remember your purpose. And then we need to think about our tools. I had 2 tools this time that I didn't have before. One of the tools was community. And so I really want to think about that for a second, because who you have around you and how your community is makes a massive impact. So I'll give you an example. Sometimes we might have people who we go to. So if I was in my struggle, in this difficult place, feeling really uncomfortable, I know I want to make this change, but I just cannot do it. I can't do it. I've had enough, right? And I want to make this change. And I go to my community and they're like, oh, do you know what? You've done so well. You come so far and it was amazing. And do you know what? Well done. Well done. You can stop now. Do you know what? Try again in a month's time. Try again in a month's time. If that's the community you've got, It sounds good, right? It sounds like, okay, that's a nice community. They're being supportive. However, I would challenge that, because what I found is when you have that kind of community, yes, it's positive, but does it actually help you make those changes? It's all very well being praised for something and being encouraged for something, but is it actually helping you to stay in the discomfort and push through? Are they actually helping you to stay in that discomfort and push through and find a new angle? Now, of course, there's kind of caveats to this, and there might be some situations where you do just need to stop. But for the most part, if you know this is a change you need to make, is your community helping you to stay in that and challenge it and get there? Or are they just giving you praise for your efforts and they're happy for you to just stop where you feel like it and that be the end of it? If we have people around us that are going to challenge us, yes, encourage us, yes, motivate us and give us that boost, but are going to challenge us and help us come back to it and see it through, then we are going to be more successful. And that is how we can utilize our tools. So I would encourage you to do an audit. Do an audit of the community you have around you, whether it's people, particular group that you're in, whether it's a one-to-one. Actually think about, who do I need around me right now to make this change? Not who do I want necessarily, who do I need around me to make this change? Because if you have the right people, it's going to give you that extra boost. And on the days that you feel like you want to give up, you are going to be able to push through. So I want to talk a little bit about meditation, because meditation is one of the things that I use in my sessions with clients to help them. And people have different definitions of what meditation is. Okay, so for me, the definition that I go by is deep contemplation. Being able to train and calm and engage your thoughts and sit in your thoughts in a focused way. So meditation for me is a key tool that I use because it allows me to stay in the discomfort. It allows me to gather myself, calm my body when my body is doing all kinds of things and trying to get me to focus on my hunger or my pain or distract me from the goal, the focus. Meditation helps me to ground myself. Now, meditation looks different for different people. So I'm a Christian. So for me, when I talk about meditating, I'm talking about prayer. I'm talking about focusing on affirmations and God's word and using that as an anchor to help me stay focused. If you have something that you're trying to change, find something to focus on. Find something to give you a moment to anchor yourself. It can be words. It can be something that you listen to. It can be just creating a space. One of the biggest things that I found on this fasting journey is, and it's something I've never done before, is when after I prayed or after I meditated or after I sat with something, the thing that I wanted to focus on, the scripture, whatever it was, I just sat. I set a timer and I sat for 5 minutes. And I was like, okay, if there's anything you want to say to me, God, I'll listen. Now, like I said, I'm a Christian, so that's the context I do it in. But you can just sit in silence for 5 minutes. And being in there for 5 minutes in silence, eyes closed, not doing anything, was really hard at first. I was distracted. I was like, is the timer up yet? I was like trying to think about this, that, and the other and bring myself back. But over time, I learned to just be still and listen. Be still and listen and try and go inwards and think about, okay, what do I need to hear here? What do I need to listen to here? What else is there besides me? What else is there that I need to hear in this discomfort? And that was really powerful. So I want to encourage you that when you get stuck, you can use meditation as a form or as a tool. If you recognize that there's a sticking point that you keep coming up against time and time again, change that. Sometimes it's not the whole thing that needs to change. Sometimes it's not the goal that needs to change. It's one little thing that you need to do. So if you are doing something and you know that you get so far, that's a sign that not everything is wrong. There are some things there that are working. You just need to tweak something to go the extra mile the next time. And then the other thing I would say is we really need to try to get back up again as quickly as possible. So one of the things that I noticed with myself in the past, whether it's diet, whether it's exercise, whatever it is, I will always give myself too much time. So if I'm doing it now and I'm struggling and it's not working, I'll be like, okay, I'm over it. I'm done. I'll try again next month. I'll try again next year. I'll try again in 6 months. I never used to say to myself, I'll try again the next meal. I'll try again tomorrow. I would always be like, I'm going to push that aside now and I'm going to give myself all this time and then I'm going to go again. That is not helpful. It's not helpful because what it does is it gives you time to push yourself back in the comfort. And what did we say at the beginning? If you want to make change, you have to stay in the discomfort. It's not going to be comfortable. So I have a mentor, and my mentor Jazz, he says, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And I know that's a saying that a lot of people say, but I remember him saying it more specifically because he says it all the time. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail, right? And I used to think I was a good planner. I could show you even now. I have books for days, post-it notes for days, lists for days. I will write everything down, and it does not mean I'm looking at any of it. I will read it for a week and then I'll go off and make another list. And then I'm invested in that list. So when you plan, have you got a clear vision and a path for where you're going? And do you come back to it? Because if we have this plan and we could go that way or we could go that way, again, we're not going to see the change we want to make. We have to be consistent. And how we're consistent is by having a clear vision and a clear plan. So if you haven't taken the time to plan it out, to really be clear and specific about what it is you want to achieve here and how you're going to do it, then that would be my next tip for you. Make a plan, make it clear, write it down, make it clear, consider everything, even consider what you're going to do when you get stuck, when times get hard. What are you going to do? Because if you give yourself the opportunity to think about it when you're in that discomfort, when you're in the pit and you're like, I don't want to do this anymore, you are not going to want to be trying to figure out a positive way to get out. You're just going to want to give in to the doneness. I'm done. I'm finished. I'm tired. It's too hard. That's where your mind is going to go. So don't give your brain that extra work. Figure it out in your planning stage. Have a contingency plan. This is what I'm going to do when times get hard. When we are honest, we can get so much further, guys. When we are honest, we get so much further. A lot of people spend time just not being honest with themselves. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Oh, I tried my best. I tried my best. Oh, it just wasn't meant to be. They're all excuses. If you know you have to make a change in your life, there's a reason why you wanted to make it in the first place. That is worth you seeing it through. So you have to be consistent. And this is where your mindset comes in. How you're talking to yourself, what you do in this discomfort, in this uncomfortable place is really important. So where your tools come in is in the planning, in having the right community, in taking an audit, making sure you're on track, making sure you're aware of what you need to change. All of these things are gonna help you develop the mindset that you can do it, that yes, it's uncomfortable, yes, you don't like it, yes, there's a million other things you could be feeling right now that feel better than this, but it's worth it. And the more you do that, the more you show yourself day by day, time by time, effort by effort that you've done it, you've got a little bit further, that will motivate you and teach your brain that it's possible, that you can keep going, you can push through. And so when you really understand the principles that you need, the tools that you need, the mindset that you need, then you are able to make room for change. And I don't mean temporary change. I mean lasting change, long life change. And so what I really notice here is the same principles that I have now applied to this fasting, I applied to when I had anxiety all those years ago. When I was in the depths of my anxiety, when I had my depressive episode, when I've had any challenge in my life, it's actually the same principles. The only thing that was different was how I thought about it, how I felt about it, and how I planned and envisioned myself getting through it. When you have a clear plan of action and you know how you need to make change happen, it will happen. Don't worry if it's taken you 20 years. Don't worry if it's something you've been working on since you can remember. Don't worry if you've got a health challenge, a medical challenge, a physical challenge. Don't worry. I've got those too. And I still fasted. I still met the goals that I intended to meet. I still made the changes that I need to make. Just keep going. If you actually want one-to-one help to go through this and for me to help you specifically with your change, contact me. You can come and work with me and I'll go through it with you one-to-one. Before we go, guys, just share with me what your takeaway is going to be from today. But yeah, I hope you guys are blessed. If you found it helpful, please share it with somebody else. If you want me to jump on the DMs with you and just give you a little bit of advice, you can also do that. So anybody that's watching this in the replay, if you just want a little bit of advice, I'm happy to do that for you and help you do a little bit of tweaking. I hope you found something useful. So just share with me what your takeaway is going to be from the live today.